Why do you think the second half was different than the first half?
Just more urgency. I told the guys afterward, we're going to tell you what they do. We're going to tell you what's dangerous about them, and we're going to make a big emphasis on it. But it's our job to, as a team, and our guys, the 5 guys on the floor, to have a level of urgency about taking it away. That's how they play. That's how Central Michigan plays. They bomb a lot of threes. They're very aggressive. They get the ball out fast after makes. And, I thought in the second half, when our guys really dedicated themselves to taking those things away, we defended them much better. And on our offensive end, it helps to make shots. Jason Cordy made a lot of shots in the second half, which allowed us to get a lead and extend it.
You talked about that urgency. I think probably Royce personified that more than anybody coming out of the second half. I mean, what kind of boost did he give you guys with his energy?
He gave us a huge boost. We challenged our bigs to, as a group, have a season high in points and rebounds, and they did that. And it was mostly tonight, Jericho and Royce. We got on Royce pretty hard this past week. He hadn't gotten a lot of rebounds of late, so for him to go get 12 is huge. Now we got to help him pass the ball to the guys in the white uniforms, but this team's a work in progress, and I think the best thing about today is our team can respond to a tough half and some adverse situations. Individual guys on our team can respond, and we played the way we needed to play down the stretch of this game, which is why we won.
The way they play, is it more like the way the game was played when you were in it as a player?
Well, everyone from the beginning of time has had different styles, but I think there are more teams now that play the grind it out, try to limit your possession style, probably at all levels of basketball. But we told our guys coming into this game, it's not going to be that kind of game. Obviously we're coming off of A&M. And again, we watch a lot of tape, we practice it, but sometimes until you see it live, it takes those guys maybe that to really, really see how dangerous it is. And again, I thought in the second half our guys did a nice job of, after a few threes, they had a barrage of threes, but taking them away for the remainder of the game.
What do they do that maybe other teams don't to force so many turnovers?
They do a nice job with aggressiveness, but the vast majority of those turnovers were on us, and we have to do a better job making decisions. Our 2 point guards, I believe, had 12 assists and 2 turnovers, so they did, for the most part, a nice job with the ball in their hands. But we had a ton of turnovers from the 4 and the 5 spots, so we got to improve that. Those guys gave us a lift on the glass and around the basket scoring, but we can't give the ball to the other team that many times.
When you talked so much in the offseason about Matt and Courtney playing together, was this kind of what you envisioned? Those two guys they don't have to both be great, but just both be good or better, especially in the second half when Matt was kind of laying, hey, Courtney, you've got the hot hand.
If those guys are both great, we're going to win. If one of them is playing extremely well and one of them is playing well, then we got a really good chance. And obviously it's not just about those two, but they set the tone for everyone on our team. I think they're making progress at playing together and playing off of each other. The key is, again, trying to accentuate them both being the best version of themselves, knowing that there's only one basketball on the floor, and if they can make plays for each other, that's a big, big deal. But, I'd say we're maybe a third of the way there of where we want to be in terms of those guys playing together. And when you add Andrew in and some of our other perimeter players, we're at our best when those guys are helping each other and playing off of each other on the offensive end.
Shaka, with a guy like Royce, when you count on his energy, what's your, message to him, the staff's message to him to make sure when he's on the floor that the energy is channeled in a productive manner to where it's helping him?
Yeah. Well, I think what we try to do is just stay focused on the basketball particulars that are, embodiment of energy, and then the basketball particulars trying to stay away from the things that what we would call giveaways. You know, whether it's a turnover, whether it's a defensive play where you take yourself out of position. You know, but I thought he did give us a really big boost just from a standpoint of bringing juice to the floor, grabbing the ball, and that, you know, that gives you a lift in a game like this because there's a lot of long rebounds. You know, the biggest thing we'll look at from this game is just, you know, pinpointing why we had some of the turnovers we had, you know, on the offensive end and how we can improve there. I think that is very, very, you know, realistic for us to grab hold of and do better.
What was your conversation like with players and coaches at halftime? Were you upset because you felt like players weren't executing the game plan very well, or because you just felt like it was a strategy that needed improvement?
Both, yeah, all the above, and the biggest thing being the way to do that is to get outside of yourself, get over whatever it is that's troubling you about how you played or about how much you played or about the fact that a guy made a three on you or whatever it might be. You got to let that go and focus on what Texas needs you to do. And I give our guys a lot of credit. They did a much better job of that in the second half. I told the guys after the game, if the best player in the world has to respond to maybe a tough start to a game, like LeBron did last night, and really battled up for his team and played well, if he has to do that, then, you know, far be it from anyone in this locker room to be above that. And I thought Courtney did a nice job of, you know, staying composed after a really, really tough first half and playing much better in the second half.
Whenever Jace is having a game like he did tonight where he's just on fire, are you kind of encouraging like Matt and Courtney to look for Jace every time
Sure.
they're pushing the ball down?
Yeah, we definitely want to find him. I thought there was a couple times where we could have found him even to get him a couple more looks, but you know, this is why in some of the games where he hadn't shot it as well, this is what Jace is capable of. And, you know, he didn't do anything outside of himself. He just, you know, shot the ball the right way and shot it in and made 7 threes. Very, very doable for him if we can create good looks for him, and our guys did a nice job of that.
You guys have talked about responding since you've arrived. I mean, it's been a big part of your program forever. Why is this group seemingly doing it a little bit better, especially when it comes to crunch time to winning basketball games?
Well, it's interesting. You know, we define response as your ability to focus on the next most important thing, because basketball is a game of mistakes, and there's going to be a lot of things that don't go your way. You know, I think we have some guys, a lot of guys on our team that are in the middle of a maturation process. They're certainly far from all the way there, but, you know, they have a decent amount of experience, like Courtney, certainly a Matt, a Jace, an Andrew, where it's in there. Now it's a matter of pulling it out at the right time, but that's what those guys did today. That's what Jericho did today. Now, when the competition goes up, you got to respond better, and that's coming in our next game.
Shaka, through the first 10 games, aside from the record, what do you like about your group, and what have you learned the most about your group in the first 10 games?
Well, I like the fact that, you know, we've got a lot of diversity on our team from the standpoint of guys that can help our team in different ways. I think that's, you know, one of the recipes for a team that can continue to grow, because let's face it, we don't have any guy on our team that we can single out and say, man, that guy has just played lights out for all 10 games. We've got different guys that have contributed at different times. We've had some guys play really well. I think Matt's probably played the best of anyone through 10 games. But even he, you know, there's a ton of room for him to grow and continue to improve. I'll tell you what, he saves us game in and game out on defense, though. Because what happens is there's a guy out there on the perimeter making threes, and then we have to put Matt on him. And Matt says, okay, you're not going to make any more threes. We have to get better, all the other guys around him taking those away. But that's probably what I like best about our team, just the fact that we have a lot of guys that can come in and contribute to our team in different ways. Now it's about putting together a 40-minute game of basketball, knowing you're going to make some mistakes, but 40 minutes of level 5 juice, 40 minutes of intentional execution, 40 minutes of getting over yourself. And when we do that, then we'll be able to, you know, beat some of the best teams out there.
When you can point those things out to the team, does it make it easy then to say, hey, don't look at the fact that you're 9-1
Yeah, I mean, we don't spend a ton of time talking about a record, except that, again, we're just trying to be one win better, you know, in the next game. But we talk a lot about growth, and there's a ton of emphasis after each game and throughout the week in practice, focusing on areas where we need to grow. So those guys are hearing those. You know, they're probably, you know, hearing from outside, you know, whatever about the record or about how they've played. But the reality is those guys that have been around that are not freshmen, they know we need to play a lot better, you know, to beat the very best teams on our schedule. And that's what we go to work on every day on the practice floor.